This is the REI Trailmade 2. Here's how it compares to all of REI's other tents in terms of price. So for all of you guys who need to stay dry on a budget, let's find out if REI's least expensive tent can hold up to 24 hours of heavy rain. But first, before we get into the rain test, let's check out the Trailmade's waterproofing features. The first waterproof feature we gotta check out is the tub floor that runs all around the entire tent. The height of the tub at the widths comes in at about 6 inches, and so does the height at the lengths, so it's just 6 inches throughout. The next feature is the seam taping. One of the lengths of the tent at the bottom of the tub floor comes with this seam that runs from corner to corner, but thankfully it was taped. At each corner too, all these seams were also perfectly taped. The seam taping goes up about 6 inches and stops here. Everything else above this isn't taped. As for the rainfly, every single seam was taped perfectly. You can see the outline of the seam taping. Next, we have the rainfly vents, one facing the left, the other facing the right, so two altogether. The angle faces sideways instead of downwards, which isn't great and tends to leak in the heavy rain, so we'll have to check this out later. The last feature is the full coverage rainfly. It extends almost all the way down to the ground, leaving a small gap at the bottom. However, this tent cannot be staked out or guyed out at the widths, which isn't great for rain protection and ventilation, so let's see how it does in the heavy rain test. Now here were the test conditions. The rain started off not too heavy at about 11 a.m. and turned into a downpour by 4 p.m. Rain non-stop super heavily all the way until the wee hours of the morning. Overall, based on the official rain intensities, I'd estimate about 12 hours of moderate rain and 12 hours of heavy rain. 24 hours of rain later, when the rain became much lighter, I decided to check in on the tent, and here are the results. The first thing I noticed in the tent were two small puddles of water right in the middle. These had leaked through the vents at the top because this type of angle usually always leaks in the heavy rain. Luckily, we can shut these vents from the inside of the tent in the rain by just unzipping the door and reaching over a little bit, so not too big an issue overall. Otherwise, the rest of the tent is actually pretty dry. The flooring looks wet, but when I checked it, none of the water had actually seeped through. Well, except for this corner right here, because it was sitting in a whole pool of water. The amount of leakage wasn't the worst I've seen. I think it's a pretty manageable little puddle of water, especially considering that it rained non-stop for 24 hours. From the outside, I lifted the rainfly and noticed that the water had gone beyond the tub floor on the widths, but somehow, for some strange reason, it didn't leak on the inside. Overall, the damage is pretty minimal, so I think the flooring and seam taping held up fine. As for our last waterproof feature, the rainfly, at about the 5-hour mark, I noticed that the rain flap had started to soak through, but apart from that, the rest of the rainfly was still dry from the inside, so again, this tent held up pretty well. Now, here's a summary of the rain conditions that I tested this tent in, and here's a summary of the results of the 24-hour rain test. I got a 30% discount on this tent a couple of years ago, so I paid about, $140 for it. Now, here's how the Trailmade compares to other tents that are about the same price that I've also bought over the last few years. It definitely comes up on top, on par with the Teton Mountain Ultra, and beats out other budget brands like the Kelty and Alps Mountaineering. So overall, I'd say that this offers really good value for money when you pick one of them up on sale. But waterproofing isn't the only thing you should look at in a tent, so check out this video on the screen for a full review of the Trailmade. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you in that one.